Hello, welcome to the third part of Day 1, Millionaire Mentor Week. I'm here with my good friend, Dr. Shippy, and she's a great friend, but more importantly, she's a big part of my life when it comes to my overall health. She's helped me really to get to the bottom of some of the things that were keeping me from reaching optimal health, and we're still trying to figure some things out. So I think part of the understanding is that to reach wellness and optimal health, it's a journey, it's a process, it's looking at a lot of different things versus just going to the doctor when we're sick. So part of the ritual we want to create is our doctor, and not looking at going to the doctor just when something's wrong, but how we fit a doctor into our life in a way that are part of our health and wellness conversations. And so anyway, I'd love for you to join me in a conversation that Ann and I are going to have together. And we're going to, first of all, I'd like to continue. We've talked about food today. We talked about the importance of breakfast and a smoothie and a healthy lunch. And so I want to continue that food conversation when it comes to healthy food and really what's healthy and maybe what's not so healthy, counter to some of the conventional mainstream wisdom out there. And Ann, I know, working with you, that you're a big proponent of the Paleo Diet, and that's really what you prescribe as far as I guess the number one diet that you recommend to most of your patients. So would you talk about just what is the Paleo Diet and why do you recommend it?
So it's really been the most effective way for people to get nutrients into their bodies that really help to run their biochemistry and physiology in a positive way and not create a lot of inflammation, which is really the root of a lot of illnesses. So the thing I love about my particular form of the Paleo Diet, which is a little bit different than what you'll see out there with some of the other people that are promoting the health benefits of the Paleo Diet, is that the bottom of the pyramid is vegetables. So we really can get so much of the nutrients that we need for our bodies to be able to work more effectively with vegetables. So it helps our detoxification systems to work better, to be able to handle the things that we're exposed to in the environment, helps our immune system to work better, our metabolic system to work better, so many things. So that bottom of the pyramid is vegetables. A big part of the pyramid.
You mean it's not all meat? I mean, so many people, I think, associate lots of meat with the Paleo Diet,
exactly.
And you're saying no, not that.
So from a volume standpoint, the biggest volume should be vegetables, and real vegetables, not the corn and peas, but things like broccoli and cauliflower and asparagus and squash, the beets, the things that really have a lot of the good nutrients in it that we're looking for. And then on top of the vegetable part of the pyramid comes some meat, and then some nuts and seeds, and then some fruit. So the things that are missing from the pyramid that you traditionally see in the American food pyramid would be grains and dairy. So a lot of people that are promoting a paleo diet are allowing some grass-fed butter and cheese and those kinds of things. And I find that really that those are not a beneficial thing to include, that they can actually increase inflammation and detract from the benefits of the diet. So I don't ask everybody to do a paleo diet, but if somebody's really excited about doing everything they possibly can with diet and their health, or they have something significant going on, I do ask them to at least try a paleo diet for a couple of months and see how they feel, see what changes for them with it. And so many people get really great results with it.
And so how does gluten fit into this?
Okay, so gluten would be brought into the diet with some grains. So wheat, barley, rice, spelt, kamut. And there's so much data now showing that gluten is really not a great thing for most people. So it's, at a minimum, it's good to have a trial period where you take gluten out of your diet.
And then what about this glyphosate that tends to be on everything and Roundup? Do you have anything to say to that?
My experience is that it's better to avoid that.
So when we're talking vegetables, really look at mostly organic if possible, and if we're doing meats, to go more grass-fed, stay away from antibiotic-fed.
Exactly, and that's not possible for everybody, but it's where you can. A lot of people are in areas where those things are really hard to find, so that's even an added benefit if you can do organic and you can do grass-fed. You can get a lot of the health benefits, though, just by even just cutting out those food groups that I was talking about, the grains and the dairy. The Environmental Working Group has a great website called ewg.org. It has a list of the most important foods to try to do organic, and then a list that it doesn't matter so much. So usually if there's a peel on it, like an avocado or pineapple, it's not as important.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, many times they say, I can't afford, this sort of diet. And I think the point is that when it's mostly 75, 80+% vegetables, and most of those organic, but it doesn't have to be all organic, just depending on the vegetable itself, that's really not all that expensive. So then you can add some meats to it and add, some nuts and seeds and things that might be a little bit more pricey, but that's just the last 10 or 20%, right?
It's not a high volume of those foods, and they're so nutrient dense. They're so good to get into your body. So it's really great if you can do that. And when you're looking at the grocery bill, when you're cutting out all the packaged things, it actually cuts out a pretty big expense.
That's so true, yes.
And most of those things are not on the paleo diet.
They're not. And then, do you have anything to say about adding fat to the diet? I know so many diets are low fat, and we're not looking at labels really. I think so much the epidemic is these high sugar, low fat diets, or believing that fat's bad, even if we are cutting out some of the sugar. So number one, if we're cutting down the sugar, don't replace it with artificial sweeteners, because those are mostly toxic, right?
Right. If you want sweet, have some fruit, or maybe a little bit of honey, rather than the more refined or fake sugars.
And then fat, like certain good fats are...
It's turning out that the whole low-fat craze has been a really bad thing for our country. We need good fat to have healthy cell membranes and to have healthy brains. So the good fats would be things like olives and avocados and olive oil and
coconut oil.
Coconut's a great one. Mm-hmm. So we need to get some of those good oils every day to keep our brains.
Okay, some oils to stay away from. I know a lot of, again, processed foods. We've been taught that vegetable oils are good. Saturated fat oils like coconut oils are bad. And it's kind of the reverse we've learned, right?
Right. We actually need a balance of all the different types of good oils. So the bad ones to stay away from would be things like Crisco oil and canola oil. And we want to do the coconut oil and olive oil. I also really like some of the nut oils like macadamia nut oil and almond oil. They can be really nice to cook with as well.
All right, well, so that's diet, so thank you. So another thing that we've talked a lot about is supplementation, and that no matter really how rich our food is and how healthy and organic and all the things we just talked about, most of us are still deficient when it comes to some vitamins and minerals. So can you talk about what you see most often, just because you have so many people come through your clinic?
Yeah, first I just want to say that we kind of forget about what food really does in our body. We think about it as just being fuel, but when you get back to the biochemistry and physiology, everything runs on nutrients. Mm-hmm. We do need those detailed nutrients from our food to make our bodies run properly, not just fuel us. So because I get to test a lot of people for their nutritional status, I get this whole window into the patients to see what they are deficient in. And it's pretty shocking, actually. Pretty much everybody's deficient in something. One of the most common things that I see is magnesium deficiency. Mm-hmm. And magnesium is a mineral which is so important for so many different enzymes to work properly in our body. So to like make neurotransmitters and for our immune system to work properly and all kinds of things. So almost everybody that comes through my door gets put on magnesium. It turns out that some people don't actually absorb magnesium very well in their digestive system, so we use little sublingual sprays and topical as well. And it's almost impossible to have somebody get too high of a magnesium level.
I think that's a lot of the concern sometimes is, can I get overdosed on some of these supplements? And you're saying magnesium, just
no,
go to
and
town.
Sometimes I have to use all three mechanisms to get people into the normal
I think I was one
range.
Of those.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then I find that most people really do need a multivitamin, but it needs to be a really high quality, good multivitamin, and that would cover most people. The multis that I recommend with vitamin D and B vitamins and a few antioxidants and just some of the bases there. And then I think the other thing that I find is that most people are low in their omega-3s. So I'm not really promoting a lot of intake of fish these days, again, with the Environmental Working Group.
Mercury and
I'm seeing so much heavy metal toxicity, especially in people who are eating a lot of fish. So I think a very high quality fish oil that has been purified is a really great idea for most people. And that gets back to the cell membrane, needing good fats. We also need the right kinds of fats for our cell membranes to be healthy. And then turmeric happens to be one of my favorites. So
I think a turmeric is a spice.
Yeah, it's a spice, but it's one of the best antioxidants that we have. And it's got great cancer prevention, and who doesn't want to work on that with what we're seeing in our family and friends and in our communities.
What about probiotics? Can you talk? I mean, I think so much of what we're learning now is how important the gut bacteria and the gut is to overall health, and it's completely missing in most of these health conversations.
It is. It's so important. So the term for that now is called the microbiome. So it turns out that there's a whole family of bacteria in our bodies, and especially in our digestive systems. There's several pounds of bacteria in our guts that provide a lot of help for us. It helps digest our food, gives information to our immune system to know what to do, and also can help us to detoxify. And if things are really out of balance, it can make it hard for us to detoxify. So with taking antibiotics, a lot of times people's set point for their good bacteria gets off. So almost everybody can use some extra help in that category, is to be putting more of the beneficial bacteria into our guts.
Excellent. So pretty much what you're saying is that we all probably need some help with our gut bacteria, so good probiotic, a good multi, but not all multis are created equal, so make sure it's a good quality multi. Magnesium in different forms, and turmeric is a spice. And did I leave one out?
Yeah. So let me go back to the turmeric for just a minute.
Yeah.
So it's really important to get a pharmaceutical grade turmeric because a lot of the turmeric that is out there is contaminated. So it's really, really important to get a good brand of the turmeric.
Okay, well, so we've talked about diet, and even no matter how good our diet is, we're probably deficient in some supplements, so it's probably pretty reasonable to assume that we're going to need to supplement on 4 or 5 different things that you see pretty regularly.
Right.
So really where I wanted to end our conversation, I mean, you and I could talk for hours and hours, and we do talk hours and hours, and I do want to say that I think most people following is that I had my near-death experience in 2013, and a big part of that was toxic overload. I mean, I was toxic. I was heavy metal poisoned to death, basically. So we've been really working on detoxifying over the last couple of years, and I'm on all the supplements that you just mentioned, and then some, and working on different issues to help my body recover from that. But I went to a lot of different doctors before I stumbled upon you and really wound up in this integrative functional medicine world that actually found the source of my illness. I mean, heavy metals is what, that was just so absurd to think. I never in a million years, I think we would have ever found going through sort of this traditional approach that's what I was dying from. So can you talk about just a little bit the difference between sort of this functional integrative medicine philosophy and how you work, and how that's different than just going to maybe your normal doctor? And you both are probably required, but I think that there's a lot of lack of knowledge that there's this whole different way of really getting to optimal health and actually finding the source of illness for people that are sick.
Right. So with functional medicine, we can really use the best of both worlds. I can still order, my CAT scans and the traditional lab studies and prescribed medications, but then in my functional medicine world, I have a lot of tools in my toolbox to really find out what is causing the person's system to be out of balance. So whether it's environmental toxins, nutritional deficiencies, genetic predispositions to have a pathway not work very well.
So what are tests? Like, give me a list of tests that you typically do with almost everyone that walks in to your clinic.
It so depends on the person and what their symptoms are.
Okay.
But of course, I have my areas that I really love to look at, like things like the methylation pathway, which maybe we can do a little conversation about some of these other, where I'm seeing some of the major health benefits come from with the testing. So I really love to look at the detoxification genes and the methylation genes and that kind of thing.
Which is all fascinating, by the way.
So fun.
Yes.
Yes. And so then when we identify some areas that are out of balance, when we address those, it constantly amazes me the body's ability to be able to heal. When you just kind of take away the roadblocks, the body wants to be healthy. Yes. And it really does have so many overlap of ways to be able to help to heal and get better.
So functional medicine is more looking maybe the source of what the upset is, or what's not working, or the blockage, or versus Band-Aid, like,
right,
so, like less, more cause, less symptomatic, or can you explain sort of
so
how
one of my favorite examples is migraine headaches. So that's a pretty common problem that people have, and in the allopathic model, back when I was doing internal medicine, I wouldn't think about what was causing the problem, and that the person was having their body was screaming at them, basically saying there's something really wrong, and we would just do pain medication. But now if somebody comes in with a migraine headache, we look underneath and figure out why. And a lot of times it comes back to digestive health and food allergies and nutritional deficiencies, and there really are some reasons that the body's saying, hey, I need some help.
And many times it could be a matter of changing diet, or adding some supplements, or changing some lifestyle stuff like a lot of stress, and voila, no medication, and the headaches are gone.
Anymore. Exactly.
All
That's
right.
really fun.
Yay. Well, I think, I know you and I have talked about what's happening. A lot of people are coming to us and asking us, like, what are those supplements, or how can I find these things? And so you've been working on putting together a store, right? Like for people where they can go, like myself, can go to the store and buy the different supplements and what they need. Because if you go to Whole Foods or go to the pharmacy, it could be overwhelming. I mean, they have so much, and how do you know which to choose from? I go into the local pharmacy. It's really a functional medicine pharmacy, but I don't know what brand or. So anyway,
and that's something I'm very picky about. I really like to find the best of what is out there. If I'm going to put it in my body, I want to know that it's really good quality and it's the right form of the nutrient. So we'll have all that available in the store in the next 2 weeks.
Oh, great. Do you think it'd be possible if we did maybe a supplement starter kit, a wealthy supplement starter kit for those that are part of this week? And
absolutely. I would love to do that. We'll put that together.
Okay, awesome. Well, any final comments or thoughts, or you might want to share?
So one thing, I know you've been talking about developing rituals and habits. So, it can be overwhelming for people to even think about having a new habit of taking supplements. So for me, what I found is most useful is if I link it to another habit that I have. So another habit is brushing my teeth in the morning and at night, right? So I generally take my morning supplements when I'm brushing my teeth, and my evening supplements when I'm going to bed. So then I don't have to remember it another time during the day, and it just happens automatically.
And that's such a perfect example. What I was talking about earlier is just integrating these things into your normal life. So you're brushing your teeth anyway, and you have your supplements right there, and exactly, it's not like adding one more thing.
Right, it's 1 or 2 minutes and I'm done.
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you so much. You know how much I adore you and I appreciate you, and it's just so fun to have these conversations. All right. Thank you so much for being part of our conversation. I hope that was helpful, and just think of how to incorporate these new rituals into your life. I hope what I showed you today is that it's really easy and really fun, and it can be life-altering and life-changing. And bottom line, life just gets better. So that's it for today. We'll see you tomorrow morning, and be looking for an email tonight to sum up all the different all the different videos and to show you what's in store for tomorrow. Anyway, have a good night. Thanks so much for being here with us. Bye-bye.